Horror cinema has been around for many decades. Since the 1890s, the first ever film was Le Diable, made by a French producer, Georges Méliès, in 1896. That was the first ever recorded horror film.
He don't tell me how I ought to be. He likes me just as I am. So when I get blue...
Some people think silent films had no colour, but that's not true. They were silent films with colours in them, but people used various methods to colour the films. A good example would be Le Voyage dans la Lune, A Trip to the Moon, made in 1902 by Georges Méliès. Watercoloured paints were used to colour in the scenes and applied very carefully onto the film strips with superfine paintbrushes. It takes a lot of hours and concentration to colour in every single detail within thousands of frames.
He's me pal, he's me pal. There ain't nobody else I can see. I know he's dead tough, but his love ain't no bluff. He'd share his last dollar with me. I'd rather have him when he's 15 a week.
Another method that was used to add some pop of colour was toning strips. They would put film strips in dye, such as blue dye, green dye. The blue dye used to make the night sky, and the green would mean other things. Other different colours mean different things, and also it was less time consuming. You may be wondering, why didn't silent films use gore for horror? Most films used Gothic novels to actually base the horror films off of. They didn't really have any gore, they just had more like a dark, eerie aspect to them. It would be hard to notice the blood, the fake blood in films, since everything was in black and white, so it'd be confusing if it was some kind of black liquid or blood. The budget back in the days used to be very low, and people used all that they could, in which made the films have an eerie atmosphere and made it much better for horror. Another film that was considered the first horror films was The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, made in the 1920s by a German producer, Robert Wien. The movie was very scary and did many abstracts of horror and can be considered as a true first horror ever film.
The film used many different unique sets with interesting shapes and all sorts of painted elements. The film had a bit of a higher budget at that time. The film itself was the first film in the Expressionist movement in Germany after World War I.
He's better than most millionaires. I'm satisfied when he's at my side. Me joys and me troubles.
Instead of using body horror or special effects, people would use clothing, makeup to make villains and evil people more distorted and make them look scarier. Horror film is such a unique and interesting genre. It is a form of art and always will be. People use wide variety of imaginations and concepts and make it the most interesting things that you can think of. It takes a lot of time and effort to actually make a horror film happen.
He's the best ever.